You've seen me run marathons, carry barbells up mountains, and push my limits in some pretty wild ways. But today, we're gonna talk about top 5 hardest workouts I've ever done. And trust me, these things get crazy and crazier, so stay tuned to find out what number 1 is going to be. This one was mental. It wasn't just about strength. It was about focus, grit, and the will to keep stepping forward. 1 mile, no breaks. Just me, the harness, and over 8,000 pounds of resistance. It felt like a time pretty much slowed down, and my legs were on fire the entire way. Coming in at number 5 of one of my toughest workouts I've ever done was the time I towed a Tesla Cybertruck for an entire mile. The reason this one even made the list is just because of the location I picked. I went out into the hiking trails in Las Vegas, Nevada, and what I thought was a flat half-mile road turned out there was a slight incline to it. So this is how it went down. The first 800 meters, I was practically running away from this car. I got it moving and then it just kept going faster and faster and faster. And because there was a slight decline grade to this, I was practically just running away from this truck. I honestly thought the video was gonna be over at that point because it was too easy. It wasn't until I hit the half-mile marker where I had to pull that truck all the way back up is where I ran into a trouble. It took one step at a time just to get this truck moving. I was honestly anticipating to be facing forward and have the truck to my back. That was next to impossible. The only way I can get momentum was facing the truck and backstepping, using my entire weight, just as if I was deadlifting, pressing into the ground and driving 1 foot at a time. It was excruciating and it ate up hours of the day. Not to mention, it was close to 108 degrees out and my shoes were literally melting into the asphalt. Halfway through, I actually switched shoes from these high tops into these thicker sole bottoms just so I didn't have to have the feeling of burning feet. And yeah, it got insanely tough very quickly. This isn't your average workout where you're going into the gym, doing some sled pushes. No, you're pulling an entire car, relying on breaking the rolling friction and keep that momentum going. Because if you stop, you have to start pretty much from square zero, break the static friction and keep going. And again, the goal is a mile. This isn't an easy feat where you're just going from one end of the gym to the other. You're taking this a full mile where that last 800 meters is on an incline grade. So yeah, just I think the heat alone, the road that I chose, and because of the incline, for those 2 factors, this is why it definitely made my list of hardest workouts I've ever done, and rightfully so gets number 5. Again, towing a car with your own body weight, you know, that's pretty much up there, but having those 2 factors against you with the heat and that incline grade, yeah, we're gonna give this number 5 all day. Yeah, let's move on and see what number 4 was. If you know CrossFit, you know the girls are a brutal benchmark workout. Now imagine stringing them back to back together for time. And I'm talking about all of them. All 32 Girl WODs. This took all day. I hit Fran, Diane, Karen, Grace, each one chipping away at my soul. This was a pure volume workout with plenty of mental chaos. Coming in at number 4 of the toughest workouts I've done was hands down the Girl WOD Marathon. This was breaking down pretty much a month's worth of workouts done in a single day. Now, if you're not familiar with CrossFit, they have the girls, which are benchmark workouts, and they have a total of 32 of them. Each one of them are meant to push your intensity and your capacity to the max. That's why it's a benchmark. You work your absolute hardest. I had the brilliant idea to string all 32 of these workouts together, try to get them done back to back for time. Now, some of these workouts, you know, are fairly short. They can take up to 2 minutes. Some of them are definitely on the longer side and can consume anywhere up to 30 minutes to an hour. And when you start compiling them back to back, that's where you're gonna run into trouble. This is honestly, in my opinion, harder than an ultra marathon. Sure, running 100 miles, you gotta think, it's just one compounding movement. You can build, there's blueprints, there's plans to teach you how to do that. It's very simple. Start running, start walking, increase your volume. You can run an ultra marathon. There is not a blueprint to go chase all 32 Girl WODs in a single day. There just isn't. You have to figure it out on your own. And a lot of these movements, you're compiling thousands and thousands of squats, thousands and thousands of push-ups, thousands and thousands of pull-ups. And you're also talking about Olympic weightlift movements. You're talking about loaded barbell squats, loaded barbell deadlifts, loaded barbell bench press, you name it. You're compiling all these movements that was meant to be done in a short, high intense fashion now into a long period with high volume. This is just insanity. If you ask me, what should I do to get fit? I would tell everyone the same thing. Try CrossFit. And if that's number 4, wait till we get to number 1. But let's move on to number 3. Murph is already a beast. A 1 mile run into 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats into another mile run. But now add a 100-pound weight fest. Every rep was a grind. My lungs were on fire. I could feel every pound going into my spine. This wasn't just fitness. This was survival. Number 3 of the toughest workouts I've ever done has to be 100-pound Murph. This was an event I didn't even finish. I actually fainted on the spot somewhere in like the 200 range of the squats. And my goal was to try to attempt Dan Bailey's best time and beat that. And I felt like I was on a solid pace to doing so, but that pace caught up to me. The lack of calories caught up to me. I ended up fainting and finding myself on the ground. I still feel like I could have had it. Maybe I'll reattempt it next year, but it was a hard workout, not because I fainted, just because of what it took and how you had to go about it. So if you're looking to get a fast time on Murph, just by itself, it really comes down to partitioning your reps, pacing them out just to something manageable. Now, when you add 100 pounds on and you have to do all those movements, it really comes down to pacing out your movements and breaking it up into manageable sets. And what I found is I can only do 3 pull-ups at a time. And then I had to come down, shake my hands off, take a deep breath, back on the bar, 3 more reps. I couldn't even get a nice butterfly pull-up. These had to be regular kipping pull-ups for me to get these done. And when you have something like that breaking your natural rhythm, breaking how you want to do a workout, it really is frustrating and kind of sets you back that this is going to be a long time. And even though it's going to be a long time, you still have to do it fast because you're trying to get the fastest time. So you're going for the fastest long time, whatever that means. But yeah, having that extra weight, that 100 pounds, slows you down, makes you move a lot slower, and even when you are trying to rest, it's not really a rest. You still have 100 pounds on you that is crushing your compression, making it harder to breathe, making it harder to go into that next set, and really, tearing apart that mental space of, I want to quit. Like, why are we continuing to do this? So for the fact of the weight being so heavy, kind of disrupting that mental game and forcing rests and breaking up your natural rhythm, I think that's why this gives number 3 of the toughest workouts I've ever done. 26.2 miles of pure strongman movements. From farmer carries to yoke walks to sled pulls, my grip was gone. My shoulders were done, my traps were lit up. Every muscle had its moment of rebellion, but it taught me how far the body, the mind, and the soul can really go. Coming in at number 2, the Strongman Marathon. rightfully so, one of the toughest workouts I've ever done. And this workout's really special to me. This is one I handcrafted and created myself. It was 26.2 miles, where each mile had its own unique flair, whether it was a mile handstand walk, a mile sled drag, a mile farmer carry, a mile tire flip. There was something special to it, and it all consisted of a full marathon. So I think this one's really special, and I don't think people grasp how challenging it really is, because like I said before, anyone can train for a marathon. There's, training protocols, there's blueprints, there's multiple, logs of how to get it done, how to approach your miles, and how to build up to that point, whether you only have 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, you name it. There's blueprints for it. There's not a blueprint for doing something that I created. It's coming down to using CrossFit as a training protocol and kind of adding extra volume in and hoping when I get to the day of, it all pans out and works. Because at the end of the day, I'm the one who created this. I'm the one testing my body, testing my limits to see what is really possible. And for this, every mile was a surprise. I just remember getting in the zone for the tire flip mile. I'm just end over end, flipping one rep to another to another. I'm in the groove. I think I'm moving great. And the next thing I knew, I just took a look behind me to see where I was, and it barely looked like I moved 100 feet. I can still see the starting point van, and I'm like, wow, this one's going to take a while. Yeah, it definitely is number 2 of one of the toughest workouts I've ever done. And now what everyone's been waiting for, what the hell is number 1 and what made it so challenging? This one was short but savage. I wanted to see how fast I could run a mile with weights strapped on my back. The answer? Not fast enough to breathe, but definitely fast enough to break a record. My lungs literally collapsed as soon as I crossed the finish line. But pain fades and records stay. Coming in at number 1 is the fastest 100-pound mile. I know this event was drastically shorter than all of the other events I've listed, but the amount of intensity that I had to put into this run and how sick I felt afterwards, which is why this gets number 1 on the toughest workouts I've ever done. Typically when you run an all-out mile, people in track will tell you you're gonna experience track cough. Or if you're in the CrossFit world, you know what Fran cough is. It's when you're putting yourself through such a high energy output and you can literally start getting pulmonary edema in your lungs, that exercise-induced pulmonary edema. This is what happened with the intensity I put into this mile. Strapping 100 pounds on my back, running an absurdly fast pace of 6 minutes and 21 seconds just to secure the world's fastest time. I remember as soon as I crossed that finish line, I collapsed and immediately started coughing. It felt like fire was just in my lungs. And I thought, okay, it's just track lung. You're gonna be fine. It'll be there for the day and you'll be good. It lasted for an entire week. Day 2, could barely talk, I was still coughing. Day 3, my speech was starting to come back, but I was coughing a lot. Day 4, I still had that burning sensation in the back of my throat. Day 5, 6 were the same. And day 7, it finally started to fade, where I wasn't experiencing that burn, but it was still that kind of like rough kind of cough. So it took a full week for my body to kind of calm down back to homeostasis after exerting myself to probably one of the highest levels I've ever experienced. I've done some VO2 max testing that forces you to push to that end limit, but it never felt like this, what I felt in the 100-pound mile. I've never pushed myself so hard, because I remember lap 2, I wanted to quit. I literally just wanted to run off the track and be like, okay, we tried in the video, but we didn't get it. And that's okay with some of the videos I do. I accept failure. But there was a voice deep down with all the training I put into that specific run. There was about 4 or 5 months of training that went into this. I didn't want to stop and I didn't want to fail, and I pushed it even further for number 3 and hightailed it as hard as I could for lap 4. This is number 1. Hardest workout I've ever done. The 100-pound mile takes the cake, and if you guys haven't seen it, check it out because it is up there. Full footage. There's some fun editing stuff that I did just to show you the previous record holder and everything, but it is all uncut just so you can see that 6-minute and 21-second run. Other than that, stay tuned, guys. Keep following along because each week is going to get crazier and crazier. We got to make some new challenges, and if you have any new challenges you want to see me do, drop them down in the comments now. These workouts broke me down, but they built something stronger. They're a reminder that limits are just lines waiting to be crossed. If you're chasing discomfort, growth, or something a little insane, welcome to the club.